Test. Okay. Maybe this will work. Let's see if we have any more fun and wonderful difficulties. Hello, Blake, Jeremy. Not going to be able to watch the live, I don't think. Well, at least you can enjoy some Knob Creek. And the live stream might crash at any minute and blow up and turn into a fiery ball of nonsense after all of the craziness that I have experienced over the last 10 days. So we'll get started here in a couple minutes. I don't know how many people are going to join us since I just sent this out and didn't talk about it earlier in the week at all. So I'll give it, I don't know. We'll give it, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes before we get into the meat of everything. Maybe some people will wander in because they got the email notification. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it says there's like 15 people in here, but maybe they don't have chat. I don't know. Hopefully everybody's week is going better than mine. Frustration is frustration. Hey, there's some kombucha's got a kick though. I can't do kombucha. It's just too much for me. I know a lot of people like it. Our photographer drinks it, and I'm just like, man, I don't. It's a little bit much for me. So, which is weird because I like sauerkraut and kimchi, and stuff like that. So. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into things. I'm gonna attempt to be concise and talk about stuff without being all over the place, but I really don't have very much to go over because I haven't had a chance to plan. 10-ish days ago, we ran into some weird problems on Everyday Keras that were causing functionality issues that weren't impacting user experience. They were only impacting admin attempts to update product and add product, upload images, stuff like that. So we started the process. Seemed like a server-side issue. Started the process, going back and forth with the server to have them fix stuff. The developer that we have on call is on vacation, so it's kind of landed on me solely to tackle this problem. I can work on websites and build them through the UIs. I've taught myself enough to be able to do that stuff, but I'm not formally trained or haven't done deep dives into like actually getting into the weeds on things and working on code or doing any of the back end stuff. So like my ability to troubleshoot the website is relatively limited, especially when it comes to stuff. What was happening with it was definitely beyond my understanding. But everything that I was looking into when I was going onto the server, logging into our server and looking at the log files, all of it seemed to be something on the server side. So I'm providing them all the information. They should be able to see it. Nothing's getting resolved. In fact, stuff started getting worse. And so by like Wednesday, like the day before we were going to launch the basic subscription, another one of the other techs emailed us back, hey, try this. So I did all the changes that he said, and it seemed to make the website function a little bit better. But in the process, we had to back up the website to like before the 6th of September. To like not restore a backup from the 6th of September. And so everything seemed to function properly. I started building the basic subscription, the next one. I tested it, everything seemed fine. We launched it yesterday to the current subscription members. So if you're one of the current subscription members, you got an email about it. And the website basically just was not functioning properly. Major issues with like payment processing not resolving in a order received page, but capturing payment. So people were putting in 10 or 15 orders. So I basically had to turn everything off, put everything out of stock, go through and start refunding orders. But in that time period, all the issues that we were experiencing before in terms of me working on things in the as the admin had resurfaced. And so I couldn't effectively refund orders in the normal fashion. It was taking 5 or 10 minutes, multiple attempts to refund and cancel an order, instead of normally it's just like not even 30 seconds and it cancels and refunds. So all of this was going on yesterday, right as the end of the day was happening. So I basically came in this morning, I've spent all morning long basically turning everything on the website off and just having the WooCommerce plugin on and one payment processor. So all the plugins are off. The theme is to the default theme. Tested everything. It still won't function properly. And so I sent another ticket in and said, hey, look, I have this website stripped down to the bare bones. It should function properly. It's not. So I filled out that request this morning. We went ahead and temporarily moved the basic subscription over to Karis Penco site, which seems to be functioning properly. And in the like 4 hours since I sent that ticket in, they just 10 minutes ago responded with, oh, on the day that we did server maintenance, apparently your refresh settings were set to 30 seconds. And so it was refreshing your site every 30 seconds and wasn't allowing processes to save properly. So we're really sorry that we did that. We've reset it. We've set it to 300 seconds. And so you should be able to have everything up and running. So the entire time was because during maintenance, the server, I'm really struggling here. The server, the server had set things, had changed their settings. And so it is going to be a wonderful Monday as I struggle to basically cobble the site back together and hope that the changes that I made during all of their troubleshooting, we'll try this, we'll try that, we'll try this, update this plugin, update that plugin, roll this plugin back, switch to this theme. So all of these things that I have done, hopefully have not done damage, because on Monday I have to start the process all back over again. But having said that, we successfully canceled and refunded all the duplicate orders that were made on Everyday Karis. And so that process is going through now. we'll still, through the weekend, we'll run through Karis Penco. The current subscribers will have access to purchase the third subscription on the Karis Penco site. Like everything will function normally. They'll flow through the funnel and go into the newsletter. Everything else is going fine. Like, so that's still running, but on Monday, that product is scheduled to go live to everybody, to anybody that wants to purchase into the subscription. So it's been a struggle, to say the least. It's one of the reasons why, like, I have not had a chance to do any of my normal newsletters. We haven't done as many releases because I've been focusing all of my time, literally 99% of my time has been troubleshooting the Everyday Karis website and not doing any work on the Karis Penco except for the Monday release. And then the retractable mystery boxes that we put up today, which I already had that product in the works, and so it was just kind of turning that on and verifying that we had inventory for it. So needless to say, highly frustrating 10 days. Like, I can't remember a time where I have been like, I don't have hair because I pulled it out, but if I'd had hair, I would have been pulling it out. So having said all that, I'm going to segue into the EDK, and then we'll go back into the basic subscription teaser portion. So I've gotten I've gotten considerable amount of questions about the EDK. Didn't realize there were so many people that really love that pen, but we haven't had a lot of them in stock. So the lack of sales is kind of around the fact that they've been out of stock for a while. And having said that, I feel like I did discuss this quite a bit in the blog post that I put up, but ultimately, really what it comes down to is the EDK. When we came out with the modal and the pocket modal, we figured there would be some we'd be competing with ourselves. We understand that that's not something that was like, we were like, oh no, we realized that from the beginning, that we would likely be competing with ourselves with the release of the pocket modal, and even the modal, because the modal technically is the same length as the EDK. But we didn't, some people, like a lot of people, prefer just a standard style click pen. They don't want all the funky way that the modal looks and the side action, and they want something that's more standard. So one of the things is that we expected a certain amount of a certain decline, a certain level percentage of decline in EDK sales based off of the release of the pocket modal and the modal. However, in the grand scheme of things, the decline was quite a bit greater than, even when we had the stuff, when we had EDKs in stock, the decline of the EDK sales was considerably greater. Another thing that impacts the EDK is the fact that we source the clickers for that from Schmidt. Schmidt is a German company. Like it or not, the tariffs do impact that. And pricing in general on that product has gone up, the buttons on those, so that are on the retract and on the EDK. And until now, we've had to just absorb, increases in prices and the potential tariffs, because they're already factoring, when we contact them to order, they're already kind of factoring that cost. They're already giving us that information. Like when we order nibs, the nib prices have gone up. in some cases astronomically. It's one of the reasons we don't order gold nibs right now. The price of gold and then the import fees make having gold nibs absolutely out of the question. And same with titanium. We have not ordered titanium for that reason. The titanium nib prices have just gone exponentially greater than what they were in 2023 and 2024. So that's kind of one. That's one of. So we had to take all this into thought when we were like, well, we're almost out of EDK parts. You know, we've got a couple hundred of the brass. We don't have any full copper pens, and we're down to the bare bones in the drawers of the aluminum ones. So when Bill and I sat down to look at the production schedule to kind of like, hey, you know, this is priority A, priority B, priority C, and we, you know, talked about the EDK, it just did not make sense for us to move forward with that at the time. And so that was a while ago. We were like, well, we're going to pause it. Let's just sell through what we have, and then we'll circle back. The plan was to circle back towards the end of the year. However, 2.5 weeks ago, shortly before I sent that email, realistically, like the Thursday before the email went out saying we had officially discontinued the EDK, was when Bill and I sat down. Late on a Thursday, Bill came in to this room, which is now basically where I do all of my business, because I require all of these monitors to be able to function on working on 2 websites at the same time. Anyway, he came in here, we sat down, we talked through everything, and I just said to Bill, I said, I think we just need to bite the bullet, and I think we need to discontinue the EDK, and instead of moving forward with making more parts, or even like planning to do it later on in the year. So the plan right now is we've discontinued the brass stuff. We're going to sell through all of that at the discounted price. So I think they're $20 or $25 off. Same with the tumbled aluminum. They're down to $45. We're going to send out, we're going to get a few colors in stock to sell. Black will be one of them. We'll do another run of black EDKs. We're going to do another, a small batch of prospector EDKs. So blue uppers with blue clips and a brass grip section. And then maybe one more color of aluminum EDK, and then of anodized, and then potentially 1 or 2 Cerakote EDK options, and then the EDK will officially be done. So I think when it's all said and done, there's going to be about a maximum of 200 aluminum pens in different colors, and about 100, maximum 100 prospector, which is mixed aluminum and brass, and then about 200 all brass EDKs, and then they will be done. So I don't have a lot left in stock. We legitimately are on the final last of the last where that product is concerned. And then the goal is to circle back towards that style of pen, something like that we can potentially streamline and make faster, less expensive, not all the way down to where the basic is, where it's, you know, very rough and not very refined, but something that may be between where the EDK is now and where the basic is, that functions like the EDK, feels like the EDK. So that's the plan, is to do that sometime next year, to work on, I don't even know whether we would call it the EDK. I don't know whether we would call it the EDK or whether we would rename it something else. Depends on how much it changes realistically. If it looks a lot similar to the EDK or references the EDK in a way, we'd probably just use that name, and it would basically be like a V3 or 3.0 or I don't know, some other the EDK resurrected something. I don't know. It may take on a different name when it comes out, based off of, you know, aesthetics and how it functions and what it looks like and what the price point is. I don't know. But it's definitely something that we're like closing the books on. This version of the EDK, 2 pieces, with the Schmidt click mechanism and the way that it functions and the way that it looks and feels and all that stuff, is definitely going to be adjusted in the future if when we return to something similar. Because there is still, regardless, there's still a healthy market for a standard style click pen that's like a pocket sized click pen. We think that we can make it better and make it cheaper, even if it's only $5 or $6 cheaper, if we make some changes to it. So that's kind of where we're at over the next like 3 or 4 months. Hopefully not 3 or 4 months. My goal was actually, if I wasn't dealing with all this website stuff, the goal was actually to be into getting all that stuff sent out to Anodize and to Cerakote and getting it all back and putting it all on the website. So that's been pushed back a week and a half probably before I can get all that stuff out. So we'll probably start seeing the anodized colors and the Cerakote stuff realistically sometime in mid to late October. And that will be like the official, like, this is the last of the stuff that we have, like the full stuff that we have, besides random stuff that we would potentially put together for like mystery boxes or grab bags. And that stuff will probably hit sometime in December if we have anything, if not, or in January. So, okay. So let me just catch up on some of the comments. Yes, like the video to help with the algorithm. You can also just like, the easiest thing to do is just to get notified. So you subscribe to us, get notified when we go live. We are, Jim, officially, I mean, if you didn't read the blog, we announced that a while ago. No. Not Everyday Karis. No, we talked about that in the beginning. That website is definitely coming back. When the live stream wraps up, scroll all the way back to the beginning, and my first 10-minute rant on here will be explaining what happened to Everyday Karis. The Everyday Karis site has been a thorn in my side for the past 10 days, and so it's not going away. It will be coming back. It'll be getting expanded. I have product in the building, non-pen product. That's some pocket tool stuff that's going to go on the website shortly. So, hello, Andreas. Okay, so real quick before we segue, the form at the top is the giveaway form. Please complete that, especially if you're going to leave. I know Jim, not Jim. James Cheshire, Mr. Cheshire, I owe you last month's giveaway pen. But I also, one of the reasons I haven't gotten back to you, I've been super busy, and you did say you wanted to buy some other items. So bear with me. I'll respond to your email right after the live stream, and we can straighten that out, and I'll get that pen to you, and then whatever you wanted to buy also. So I haven't forgotten you. I've just been very, very busy, and just, it's just a nightmare right now. So Northern Lights pins. I'm not sure if we're gonna have any Northern Light pins. Maybe for the holidays. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, Blake. It's kind of difficult to plan around that stuff. We've done a lot of Northern Lights and blue titanium. A lot. Like if there's a specific pen that that we haven't done that you're requesting, let me know. Let me know if there's something you want to see in those, and we'll take care of it. Like if we haven't done one and I'm just not thinking of it, like, oh, I wanted the Vertex we haven't done Vertex, I don't think, in either of those colors. So if it's that, then we could potentially do that. But if it's a pen that we've already done, I might have one laying around here. Okay, what was I gonna do? I'm not sure, Jim. I think you only had 3 or 4 extra orders. Somebody had 17. So, yeah. Somebody had 17 because it was not closing that portal. It was time. Our website, that the server side reset that 30-second refresh. And so the order was being processed, but it was never closing the loop and redirecting you. So, yeah. Talking about brass, we have officially decided to do a limited run of brass Vertexes. Now, I don't know if those are going to have brass grip sections. I know that they're going to have brass caps and brass bodies. So that is the plan this year, is to get some of those. They will likely be our 2025 anniversary pen, probably available in fountain pen and in rollerball. So kind of exciting if you like really heavy fountain pens or the Vertex. I don't know. I think it'll be cool. I'm hoping we can also do some roll stops made out of the brass drops. I think that would be really cool too. So I'm surprised, Jim, you're not the only one. Here's the deal, right? Like, I'm surprised. I think only one person's credit card company flagged theirs because somebody else had multiple failed orders going through. And theirs is the only one that flagged it. So it's insane. There was like 20 of you that had multiple orders between like 4 and 17. Most of them were in like the 8 or 9 or 10. So yeah, I'm amazed that nobody's, credit card companies didn't flag it either. So yeah. I'm just thankful that it's not that I can get everything back up and running on Monday potentially, and then test to make sure that's not still happening. Because if it is, I legitimately, I don't know what I'll do. I'm going to throw my computer. That's what I felt like yesterday. All right. So since we're talking about all this stuff with Everyday Karis, your credit card company should, I think that's, yeah, my credit card company should flag me for my hobbies as well, most likely. Like, should probably flag me for my hobbies for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to switch the screen and I'm going to tease the basic subscription 3. Some of you already have seen it. Some of you have ordered it, like Mr. Sanders and believe Mr. Cheshire have already placed their orders because they were one of the group. They were in the group that it went haywire on. The rest of you, if you're not in the current subscription, haven't seen it yet, or if you are in the current subscription, you've just ignored it, which is fine too. So let's do. There we go. That is the 3 of the basic quarterly subscription number 3. So we are officially making the basic out of brass. This is the official to the public release. The original Pen Club members the current basic subscribers for the second subscription already know this exists. I'll give some background on it briefly here for anybody who cares. So when we initially rolled out the basic, we talked about doing the basic out of brass immediately, and talking through the process, the whole thing. We basically were like, well, probably should push this back and do it as our first year anniversary pin sometime in March 2026, because we didn't think at the time that we would have the ability to like work through all the kinks that come with the aluminum and then go into the brass and have the brass ready. And then as Josh worked through the first 3 pins and into the 4th basic, which was the beginning of the second subscription. He basically was like, well, I've dialed this into the point where I'm going to test some brass, and he just, without letting anybody know, basically it was like, yeah, works totally. There's some tweaks it needs. There's some tweaks that it requires to do brass, some changes to the programs, a minor change to some tooling. Otherwise, functions perfectly, looks great. And then he basically, after he tested it, came and told Bill, and then Bill told me, and I was like, well, we need something for the holidays. Instead of doing some fancy Cerakote or whatever, let's do a brass subscription service. We're going to do the brass ones. And then I also said, but what's the price on these going to be? Like, if it's significantly more expensive, like, it doesn't make much sense for us. I don't think if we can keep the price low. And Bill was like, well, what's the price? What do you think would be low? And I'm like, can we have the brass basic for less than $40? And Bill's like, oh yeah, definitely. He's like, I think we can do $39 and have the same amount of margin that we have on the aluminum version at $29. Which is not very much. Like, we are definitely, like, the margin is far, far lower on these pins than they are on a lot of our other pins. But that's fine. Like, we knew that going into this. But so a sub $40 brass pin, I don't know of a sub $40 machined brass pen that's made anywhere, including China. Now, I could be wrong. There could be some sub $40 Chinese machined pins on the market. I have no idea. I've never seen them before. I know for a fact there isn't a sub $40 fully machined pen being made in the United States. Or there wasn't before. There is now. So $40 for That's going to be the price, $39 when these go live. The quarterly subscription is going to have all 3 of these pens, which at $39 is $117. And then it'll have an anodized pen that has a brass button on it, which would be around $34 probably, which puts the whole package, like a subscription for this subscription would be $151. But we're selling these. These are going to be available on the Made website for $129 in the subscription on Monday. So you can get 3 brass pens and a special, like, it's only going to be released. The exclusive versions have only been available to the subscribers. It's a exclusive color. And knob for $129. So I think that's a really good deal. There are some brass pens on the market that one brass pen costs more than $129. This way you're getting 3 of them. They will be, so the only way that these will not be available on the 1st is if we sell through all of them, all of the first ones that we've made for the subscription. Now we have yet to do that. Neither the first nor the second subscription sold all of the pens. The first subscription sold most of the 001s, which is why we had to return to that one so quickly. But we've been averaging about 100 and between 120 and 150 subscriptions sold. So I don't know if we're going to sell out of this as a subscription. It could be that they blow out of here on Monday when we put them live and open them up to everybody. There's not, even if all of the current subscribers resubscribe, that would not be more than we've made of these. So I doubt that they'll all sell out. It could happen. Likely we will not. There are plans for us to do a copper version of this. That pen will not be made until next year at the earliest. So the copper version of that, we would use that for the 1st year anniversary pen. Yeah, let me catch up. San Francisco pen show reel. You can see a retract with a sky blue body and matching clip. I'd have to look at that reel, Andreas. I don't know for sure. I don't watch the reels. I'm usually too busy to watch them. So I'd have to look back through that. If it's a retract, it's probably man, I'm trying to think which one it would be. Might have been a Cerakote one, but it would, if it's an anodized one, it's one that was from a long time ago. More than likely, it's a Cerakote special version. I find that the bolt action pins, while nice, don't retract or refill deep enough. Well, we've gotten the retraction for the basic and the modal should be almost exactly the same, based off of the blueprints. There might be a little difference based off of the refill. Part of the reason that, I mean, I understand that we make sure that they retract fully so that they don't write when pressed onto a piece of paper. I can understand that they might, if you have like fibers coming out of your pocket, like inside the pockets, some of that could wick away. But part of the reason that we wanted in order to have a short action, there can't be a lot of upward travel to pull the refill back in. Especially, so this is the other concern that we have. The other thing that we've always gotten is your pen's tips don't stick out far enough. We could make the check mark more dramatic on the upside. But again, that would require a longer action. I don't know, I'll be honest with you. That's a criticism we haven't gotten a lot of. So, if you don't like it, I understand that. I can understand. We're not going to make everything to everybody's specifications. We wanted as short an action as possible to capture it and to actuate the refill without it being able to write on a piece of paper when it was retracted all the way. There are definitely some reasons for there. I can see there being reasons for it to have a longer retraction to keep it from potentially wicking away onto surfaces that might get stuck into it when it's in your pocket. But a pen that does have our older bolts definitely had that because the action on those was much longer, and so, but yeah, I'm not. I mean, I am familiar with their action. It is a lot longer. But I'm not familiar with. I'm obviously not familiar with their. With the criticisms people have of their pens. Like, we try to do it, we try to make it as best as possible. Like, if you look at our if you look at our pens over time, we've changed the retraction length, especially on our bolt style pens, quite a bit, from the Kickstarter pens through the changes to the bolt that we made prior to switching from a flat bottom to a rounded bottom, and then fully changing to the current J slot, this one, and then from there moving into the modal, and now the basic. We have changed it quite a bit over time, but I like I said, I can understand where that might be, depending on how you're carrying it and what your, how deep your pockets are. Potentially, if you're in a military uniform, a lot of the pen pockets that they have on the uniforms, having worn them before, are very shallow. They tend to be poorly sewn, and so there is a lot of fabric on the inside. So when you put the pen in there, if it has a gel or a liquid ink, it could wick away all over your uniform. So I can understand why. I definitely see, understand your point from that perspective. That would be the main reason to change how far it retracts into the body, would be to keep it further away from the tip. The outside of the only other reason to do that would be to accommodate longer refills naturally. And that's just not something we're going to do. Like, we're not going to, Like I have all of these refills like that are not G2 refills, and they're all slightly longer than the G2. And they don't function because they can't retract far enough. Their tips stick out of the pens that will accept them. And, you know, short of designing something around the same, like the Big Eye Designs collet that they've patented, there's no way to accommodate all of those refills without, you know, there being some kind of different spacer in every single one of them. So we just had to make the decision to go with the most popular refill. If, you know, I know a lot of people like other refills, but anyway, let me look at some of the other comments that I've gotten. So I'll have to look at that one, Andreas, and see what color it is so that we can potentially do that in other pens. I have the same problem with the Parker style refills, but the Pilot G2 retract finer using the gel tips. Yeah, I mean, you know, you can use other refills and trim them, which is what we've suggested in the past. I mean, I've started receiving emails asking us to offer our pens without any refill. So that's going all the way back to the original Kickstarters. People wanted us to not provide a refill with the pen. There's so many refills on the market that would require specific specifications be met to capture them correctly and to keep the lateral refill movement, aka tip wiggle, at a minimum, and keep them when the tip is extended, keep it so it looks correct, so that you have a, you know, that you're not writing at an extreme angle, all that kind of stuff. So we try to offer as many options as possible. In the past, we've tried to. It's just not something that we can do easily. You know, there's always there's a give and take in any of those situations. And I'll talk. This is the best way for me to put it. Allowing for more refill compatibility, like the pens that we had that offer the most refill compatibility when we've had them, we get the most returns on those pens for the refills not fitting snug enough, our standard refills that we use not fitting snug enough in those bodies. And so when we have shrunk the refills down and tightened our tolerances and made things a little bit more specific on pens, especially the retractable pens, the returns for poor user experience have gone down exponentially. There was a whole series of bolts that we made that accommodated one of the Signo refills. And we had almost every single one of those bolt bodies returned to us because they did not function properly or did not function to user specifications. So, you know, the collet system that Big Eye Design has is genius, absolute genius. And I say that, I'm not a machinist, but I say that having talked to Bill and having Bill say when he saw that, I'm a machinist, I should have realized we could have done something like this. We use collets in every single one of our processes. So it would have made sense to make a collet that holds it, that basically holds any refill, and then you just change the depth of the spacer or the body or whatever, like they came up with, to make that function properly the way that it does. So it's a elegant, absolutely, like, if you want to say something is relatively new in pens, that product is one of the is something I would say is unique and new in a field of, in an industry that does not have new products like that, like something new to it. That collet design that they have is new. Everything else is basically the same thing being redone over and over and over again. Like even retractable fountain pens now, like the Pilot Vanishing Point goes back to the late 60s, early 70s. So there's been retractable fountain pens for forever. Just because people are making more of them now doesn't really mean anything. It's not new. Using that collet system in that pen the way that Big Eye Design does is a new application and functionally changes how a pen works with any and potentially all refills on the market that can fit inside that pen. So big props to those guys over there. That's, huge. Like we wish we had thought of it first. All right, let's see. I mean, since we're officially in like the Q&A section, we'll just go in. And so if you have questions or comments or whatever, please don't forget to complete the giveaway form. I don't want you to miss out on that. Go ahead and do that now. We got maybe 10, 15 minutes. I know we started late, or not started late. I didn't give anybody a time to jump on board. So, Tuco, I honestly, like, I'm not trying to like tell you you're wrong or whatever. Like, I take the feedback and I understand, and we don't normally hear that. So I don't, I'm not sure what we could do with that. There's some tweaks that you could potentially do with some of our pens to make it retract further. The only problem is that when it actuates all the way out, it's not going to actuate out as far. So short of us changing the engineering behind how far up the top of the tip of the J or the check is, so that it retracts up further when it's actuated. So when you push it out, it would go down and then up further so that it could come all the way back up further. There's not a lot that's basically the only thing we could really do in terms of changing that functionality on our bolt style pens. And I'm not going to say we would never do that, because too often when I've said never, we've ended up doing it. But I doubt that we would do something like that. We'd probably build a pen around another refill before we do something like that, which is not out of the realm of possibilities. We've been in talks with multiple different refill manufacturers to make custom refills for us. It's just, when we decided to pull the trigger, the market kind of collapsed in on itself, and so we don't have the capital to do that right now. Okay, so G2 is the OG for gel pens. Hard to go wrong. Okay. Yep. Jim, we do have, like, we've done that before in the past. We used to have it on the pens themselves. We probably put that in the frequently asked questions in the future. Hardest thing I've had to do with Keras to work for refill LA. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that voids the warranty, really. Like, number one, I don't know that you're necessarily going to like you're not going to return the pen after you've drilled it out. You might send it in for service, which is fine. All right, any other questions? It seems like there's not very many of us today, which is my fault, but I want to make sure that I get to all the questions if everybody has them. If anybody has them, I don't want to miss out on a question. I guess there's not a lot of questions today. Well. In that case, we'll do I don't have anything else to talk about. We covered the subscription nonsense. We covered Everyday Keras. It's not going away. I'm going to get it fixed and we're going to get it back online. That way we can move forward with that. Close that. Trying to pull up the giveaway form. There we go. What inspires us to make pins? I just want to make sure, like, what inspires us to make pins in terms of, like, is that what you're asking? Oh, okay. So, it's not a very, like, I don't have one specific answer. I can tell you the process that we go through. A lot of the inspiration comes like when we're looking at pens, like we're looking to make a new pen. A lot of time goes into looking at pens that were on the market between like the 1920s and the 1980s. So we'll look at patents that have expired, specifically like design patents that have expired from the 20s and 30s and 40s specifically. And then a lot of visuals, like going through and looking at a lot of older pens. So we'll do stuff like that. We'll especially with fountain pens, that's the case. In terms of like retractable pens, a lot of it's just been like, we saw a pen that we liked that was relatively simple. Simple's not the right word. We've seen a pen that we liked that was kind of rough. Likely because it was made by a very small manufacturer, like a one-man show that was doing something in the everyday carry community, like one-off stuff. And the idea was, well, if we were to make our version of something like this that had, nice smooth surface, functioned a little differently, had our aesthetic around it, what would it look like? That's the case with the first Bolt, the original Bolt. We looked at a whole bunch of Bolt options and basically said, okay, if you stripped away all of the tactical aspects, because a lot of them back in 2012 had tactical, they had a glass break on one side, or they had a giant, huge knob that came off the side of it or whatever. And so we don't make tactical pens. We want to make pens that at the core, the idea is we want to make products that look like they potentially could have been, that not potentially, we want to make products that could have been, manufactured in the 50s and 60s. So the majority of our pens are simple enough on their design and construction and function and engineering that they could have been something that you could have made on a lathe in the 50s and 60s. The render K was directly, that was the idea behind the render K, was legitimately was, let's make a capped pen that if you looked at it wouldn't look out of place in a toolbox if you opened it in 1960. And we've gotten more futuristic as time has gone on, mostly because a lot of our design like influences directly in terms of like aesthetic design come from like the mid-century automobile like industry. So like cars that were made between 1950 and 1980. And the space race and advertising from that time frame. And so we pull ideas from all of that area. Not function mainly as in terms of just like, oh, that design on that sign is really cool. It's very, it flows well, like, or this advertisement that was in Popular Mechanics is a very interesting kind of pseudo-futuristic design. So it's kind of one of those things where it's a little bit all over the place. And as time has gone on, it's gotten more diverse because we don't have one person doing the design, and then basically the machinists are then kind of like interpreting that. Now the design process is collaborative in that like Josh, if he has ideas, will work on stuff in CAD, and Bill will design stuff in CAD. And I'm not a designer or a CAD person. I just am like the person that works here who has the most knowledge about pens in general, and has used pens for the longest time frame. And I kind of look at things from that perspective and look at what's on the market and be like, it'd be kind of nice if it would be kind of cool if we could do this and this on a relatively simple version of our pens, or in our own style. So it's kind of, now it's like very, very collaborative in terms of like what the official design will look like. We'll frequently prototype stuff, bring it out, we'll all look at it and be like, I like this, I don't like this, I don't like the way this functions, I'm not really a fan of how the clip looks on this pen. Like, we're actively designing new clip options potentially for future pens that we would release. So that we're kind of always like tweaking things, and it's very, very collaborative now. And we don't have a designer technically anymore. Like we used to have an industrial designer on staff. We don't any longer. It's just kind of like everybody brings ideas to the table, and we kind of sift through them and make like, yes, we can make this work. No, we can't make that work. Okay, that thing that we made work looks stupid. Let's not do that again, type of thing. So, let's see. Any idea on plans? I don't know. We'll have Knox pens. Okay, Knox retracts? No, not in the short term, because I don't have any copper retracts right now. Maybe some brass versions, but the brass ones don't ever look as nice. So we'll have him test some, but it's not going to be until next year sometime before we have copper retracts in the Knox versions available. We have looked at the Dunn pen for fountain pens. I've looked at the Dunn pen for numerous times. We've looked at that. We've looked at old, I forget the name of it, safety pens, alternative. filling mechanisms. We've even considered doing like a sack fill style with silicone sacks. Not a lever style, but one of the other styles that actuates a sack for a fountain pen as an alternative method to requiring you to disassemble a whole bunch of stuff to get to the converter. So we've looked at quite a few different things. No, we have no plans to add a glass breaker to our pens. We've been asked to. We've even worked with a couple different companies that really, really, really wanted us to make pens for them, and they were adamant about glass breakers, and we got them stuff, but they never fully came to fruition. Okay, I'm gonna do the giveaway real quick. And here are the 5 winners. We have Jeremy, Mr. Jeremy, Eric Acock, Rockstar Fan 886, Chris Laurel, and Minstrel Joel. The 5 of you, if you'll email paul@karascustoms.com with your shipping information, I will endeavor to ship out your winnings this week at some point in time, sooner rather than later. And I'll get to you too, James. I'll make sure that I get your stuff to you. So that's kind of everything that I have to go over. If you have any last minute questions that I can address before we kind of shut everything down, you can throw them in real quick and I'll try to get to them. I'm not trying to rush out of here and rush everybody, but we have been streaming for an hour. Otherwise, if you think of something else, you can always email me or you can leave a comment. If you are interested in excuse me. Boy, now I am drawing a blank here. If you're interested in the basic quarterly subscription, it will be available to anybody on Monday. So again, the 4 pens, 3 brass basics, and an anodized basic of a yet to be determined color with a brass button. $151 worth of value for $129. So yeah. So relatively inexpensive for 4 pens, especially when 3 of them are brass. We think it's a really good deal. For those of you that purchased the quarterly subscription today, I haven't been watching it. It should be functioning fine. If you ended up ordering, if some crazy thing happened on the Karas Penco site and you place like 5 orders for it incorrectly, please shoot me an email so I can take care of that. I don't want anybody to be, oh my gosh, I clicked the button too many times, or I only meant to order 1, or if you meant to order like 3 or 4 of them, that's fine. But if you only wanted 1, please let me know. All right. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Next month will be much more, well, unless another website burns to the ground, we will be on task and ready to go next month. Hopefully next month we'll have some of the Halloween special editions ready to show off. probably talk about some of the specials that we're going to run during the holidays. Likely because we are not going to be doing a live stream in November. We will not be doing a live stream in November, so we'll be kind of covering in October. I'll be covering late October stuff and into November holiday season stuff. So that's the plan for next month. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me rant and dealing with all the nonsense. We'll talk to you again soon. Really appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Be safe.